Hey everyone, this is Social Dissonance, also known as Shepard, and this will be a longsword tutorial for Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. Now, the longsword has probably had the most change between Try and Unite, in that it's kind of been like fused between the two systems, and it's not really going to be fully demonstrated until I have a monster to really test it on, because the biggest change has been to the spirit gauge. But before we get to that, we'll just go to the standard attacks. So Triangle will go into a standard overhead attack. The very first time you pull the sword out, you can hit it twice. However, that's the only time you can do that. Just a quick note, I think the first attack does more damage than the second. Otherwise, the circle kind of does a little stab attack, and triangle and circle will kind of do a backward sweeping attack. And aside from that, you kind of like have an infinite combo. You do triangle, circle, triangle again, can do an upswing, and then triangle. So the only time you can kind of do that upswing is after the circle attack. Otherwise, you'll kind of be doing this a lot. Just triangle, circle, triangle, until your gauge is filled up all the way. And then you can kind of do a fade slash. Just a little note about this fade slash here is if you hold the analog to the left or the right while you're doing the fade slash, ooh, I guess the camera angle is weird there, you can actually fade slash to the side. So that was an addition in Try. Otherwise, for you Freedom Unite people, you just be comfortable with that. And of course, before you do an attack, you can only go backwards. Otherwise, there's not much else to say. R does spirit attacks. However, until you actually have your spirit gauge built up by attacking monsters, there's really nothing I can demonstrate there. So I'm just going to have to get into the fight with the Ranguro. Just kind of like a red, stinky pill bug sort of thing. And you eagle-eyed viewers out there will notice some slight discrepancies. For some reason, I had started the quest against Hapuroboka, which I'm actually going to use a light bowgun against. What I'm going to use the longsword against is called Ranguro. And he is a stinky pillbug-looking sort of creature. And he's pretty fun to fight. Kind of easy, though. Like most of the semi-bipedal monsters, as I guess we can call them, he kind of leaves himself open to attack an awful lot, which makes him particularly easy to use the longsword against, because we're going to be able to get off an absolute ton of spirit combos on him. And this weapon here is slightly overpowered. It's actually a gift from the village. Use some shark skins on it. You'll notice here my gauge goes up to full and flashing. And the biggest change from... Uh-oh. No! I was trying to dive. I couldn't dive in time. Not that it's going to matter. He barely did any damage. Biggest change is now every attack you do when you're in full spirit gauge uses up spirit from your meter. The way that a difference has been made showed... You know, the fusion is from the way the levels of the gauge work. So landing that final attack on the spirit combo, you just keep pressing R, by the way, will kind of increase a level. And there are 3 levels. There's white, yellow, and red. Now, red is the most powerful, however, it's the most short-lived. However, the difference from Try is now you can keep red up almost all the time, because when you drop down from red, you don't go to no gauge, you just go down to yellow. And you can kind of see the borders. You can see I have a yellow border there. It kind of is decreasing slowly. You'll see that it's kind of like going opaque again. And all that means is once it goes down to empty, I'll go down a level. So once you leave yellow, you go down to white. Once you go down from red, you go down to yellow. So on and so forth. Pretty easy. And of course, focus is a great seal to have now. It's even better than it was in Try because you're using your spirit gauge up so much, getting those spirit attacks off. And his little scream there is what I love the most, because like there's no actual scream, it's just him like kind of cranky. And you just get a whole ton of attacks off on him when he's doing that. And otherwise, looks like he's almost already dead, which is pretty amazing. So we'll just go ahead and finish him off. Just a quick note, I'm not really going to show it here. It is possible to break his shell a little bit. You kind of get a little extra carve reward for being able to break it. I don't know if I will break it. There we go, it's broken. And miraculously, he's paralyzed. It doesn't usually happen. Let me just flash him one more time. One final note is you can actually do kind of like an extended combo with the longsword. I didn't really have enough time because I just murdered him so quickly. Is if you hit, like go into your normal combo, press R once, you kind of do a fade slash press triangle again, and you kind of like do like a sub combo. And that's kind of like a way of building your gauge up, because like when a normal attack hits him, even during the spirit combo, it'll fill your gauge up. So if you plan to be doing a lot of spirit combos, definitely work attacks into it so you can keep that gauge up all the way. And that's probably even more important for those of you that are going to be using the longsword without focus. However, then again, I guess you'll have to be balancing between getting to the final spirit slash, increasing your level of your sword, and keeping your gauge up at the same time. That'll be one of your biggest challenges in the middle of a fight. Of course, just one last note for those of you going online. Just be very considerate of the longsword. It has an extremely long range, so unless everybody else is using longswords and going into spirit combos, you will be tripping people an awful lot, and that will bother them. Just something to be aware of. Otherwise, that's it for the longsword. I'm going to be moving on to the hammer and Giganox next. Giganox has had a pretty significant upgrade to his abilities, and he's still quite fun to fight. So otherwise, see you soon.